This is Mrs. Warnica, Miss Steichman here to talk to you about transition plans. Hopefully this quick guide will help you understand what the transition process is, who's involved, and what are the responsibilities that you need to handle. What is a transition plan? Under IDEA, transition is designed to be a results-oriented process that is focused on improving the academic and functional achievement of the child with a disability to facilitate the child's movement from school to post-school activities, including post-secondary education, vocational education, integrated employment, which includes supported employment, continuing and adult education, adult services, independent living, or community participation.
IDEA goes on to say that transition is based on the individual child's needs, which take into account the child's strengths, preferences, interests, and it includes the instruction, related services, community experiences, development of employment, and other post-school adult living objectives. And when appropriate, acquisition of daily living skills and functional vocational evaluation. So IDEA is making sure that you, as the student, has everything set in place for when you graduate.
The IDEA also says that this process needs to start no later than the first IEP to be in effect when the child is 16 and updated annually thereafter. Also, the public agency must invite a child with a disability to attend the child's IEP meeting if the purpose of the meeting will be the consideration of the post-secondary goals for the child and their transition services needed to assist the child in reaching those goals.
You might be saying, why do I need to attend this meeting? Well, it's really important that you are there because you are the one that's striving to be as self-sufficient as possible. By attending these meetings for your future transition, you'll be explained all the things you need to accomplish so that you can be as successful as possible after graduation.
What goals are in a transition plan? The goals include career or employment goals. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Post-secondary education. Do those career goals require you to go to college or a vocational school? Independent living or community participation. How do you live on your own? What responsibilities do you have when you live on your own? All of these are included in your transition plan.
An example of a transition plan is our case of Fitz, who is a 16-year-old student with a diagnosis of ADHD and a learning disability. Fitz has expressed an interest in helping students similar to himself, but was unsure as to what he could do after high school to achieve this. Fitz has come to the school counselor to begin talking about his transition plan, which includes going to college, getting a part-time job, and preparing to live away from home. Stay tuned to find out the steps Fitz went through to achieve his goals.
Step 1. Your counselor will begin by asking you a series of questions regarding your interests. These questions can be simple, or they can be more complex. For example, what are you interested in? Are you taking classes that match your interests? What job skills training will you need to do the job you want? What extracurricular activities could you participate in to learn more about your post-secondary goals? What kind of job can you do at school or outside of school to gain experience? Finding answers to these questions will help you narrow down what goals you have after you graduate.
After we asked Fitz these questions, he spent some time researching on his own and with his parents. Fitz decided he wanted to complete his community service hours that are needed for graduation by helping out in one of the elementary special education classrooms. He was really excited for this opportunity.
After Fitz spent some time in the special education classroom, he realized he had a few options. He could be a special education teacher, a teacher assistant, or a one-on-one aide. These options prompted Fitz and his school counselor to look into the education required for each and which best fit Fitz and his ultimate career goal. Fitz decided that he really didn't like having a lot of homework or sitting through a lot of classes. And this is so common that it's nothing to be ashamed of. He has noticed that without his special education teacher prompting him to stay focused in class, he would struggle in college classes. Therefore, Fitz thought being a teacher's assistant was a better fit for him. He researched more into this career goal and found out that he could either go to a local community college to get a certificate or complete a certification through an online program. This brought up even more questions. Ultimately, Fitz decided he wanted to do the online program because he wanted to get a job after high school and wasn't quite ready to live on his own. He was going to stay at home with his parents, go to school, and work. So this is going to help our transition plan because now we have goals for Fitz.
As the school counselor, it's then our responsibility to ask the CSE chair when your annual review meeting is. This meeting will be really important because the transition process will officially begin. As a student, it is important for you to attend this meeting to express your interest in the new information you gained after answering the previous questions. Once your next CSE meeting is scheduled, you and your parents will have to fill out orientation letters. These letters will be very self-explanatory, and we could also walk you through those if necessary.
At this point in the transition process, there are a few forms that you will need to fill out. They include an orientation form, which is just a letter letting you know what the meeting is about, a transition plan questionnaire you can complete independently or with a parent or the school counselor. You can start it independently, but if you get stuck, always ask for help. There are always somebody who's willing to help you. And the transition planning inventory, which is used during the CSE meeting. These forms will be shown to you shortly with a brief description of the use.
The student orientation letter is a letter you will receive from the Committee on Special Education. It's going to tell you the date, time, and location of your next meeting and ask for you to join them. In it will also ask you to think about your plans after you leave school, which we would have already talked about. Some of the questions might be, what kind of job do you want to have? Where do you want to live? On your own or with others? A lot of the things we've already gone over. Don't let the paperwork worry you. Your parents, teachers, and the Committee on Special Education and your transition plan will all be there to help you.
This is page 1 of the transition plan questionnaire. As the student or family member, you begin working together to prepare the transition to enter the world of work, further education, and community living. The following information will guide the process. The information they need is your name, your date, birth date, your address, social security number, telephone number, parents' name. They also want to know what type of vocational needs. Are you going to go and get a part-time job or a full-time job? Are you going to go to college, the military? And then they ask questions about these things.
Part 2 of the Transition Plan Questionnaire talks about further education. If the idea of furthering your education beyond high school is important to you, then these questions will help us and be very beneficial in the transition meeting. The questions ask, what kind of education beyond high school would you like? What careers? What is the student like best about doing school assignments? What does the student like least? Things of that nature that are all imperative in trying to figure out the next transition for education. Part 3 talks about personal management and living arrangements, chores that you presently have at home, tasks that the student or yourself would need to be able to do when you're living on your own, after graduation where you think you'd like to live, those sorts of things.
The last page of the questionnaire is about leisure and recreational needs. What do you like to do for fun? Do you like to do it alone or with others? And financial information. How are you going to get your income? Are you going to get it from Medicaid, your parents, your job? And then just some general information. What agencies also give you support? And what school district did you go to?
The transition planning inventory is the chart that will be able to keep track of what services are discussed at your IEP meetings or transition meetings in response to the services that you need. So if we talk about needing to learn how to register to vote, or shopping, personal care, time management, cooking, household chores, things like that, we will be able to mark them whether you need help with that, if it's something we can explore later on, or if it's an immediate concern. This will help us in figuring out how to best transition you after high school.
This is the second page of the transition planning inventory used during the planning meeting. This goes over financial income, medical health, employment, transportation, and post-secondary continuing education options. They want to know if you need it, if you need to explore your needs, if it's an immediate need, and then comments.
This is a continuation of the chart, and now we're talking about post-secondary education, so financial aid for college, contacting with the Disability Services Office on campus, teaching you how to study appropriately, choosing your college program or major, things of that nature. This will help us figure out what we need to know. It's really common for all high school seniors, or even high school students in general, to need a lot of assistance with these areas because they're obviously not in college yet. So don't worry, we'll figure this all out together.
This last document is the Student Exit Summary Form. It goes over who you are, what diploma you're trying to achieve, and then it goes over your academic achievement and functional performance in the areas academic achievement, social development, and physical development. It also goes over your post-secondary goals that you've made in education and training, in employment, and independent living, if appropriate.
By this time, it's time for the actual CSE meeting. You will have gained experience or knowledge on the career goal you've made for yourself. The people who will be at the meeting with you include your parents, your teachers, your school counselor, the school psychologist, any services you receive, such as speech, physical therapy, or occupational therapy, the CSE chairperson, community service providers, and the CSE secretary. Don't worry, we're all there to help you, and everyone will be very friendly.
Roles of the CSE members. Your parents are there, and they're the constant factor in your life. They're somebody you can always rely on and go to, even when you're not in school anymore. They also can help motivate you to be self-sufficient at home. They can start teaching you responsibilities that you may need when you live on your own. And they need to be fully aware of what the plan is, so they can help you along the way. Your teachers will also be there. Both your special education teacher and one of your general education teachers will be present. The general education teacher will provide information on how you learn best in the general class setting. The special education teacher will talk about how to modify the material to best fit your learning style. Services available to help you be more successful, test modifications, and other individualized instruction. The special education teacher probably knows you best. Also, your school counselor will be there. They're going to provide information for the transition process regarding services available and interventions, skills, and knowledge you already have or may gain. Your school psychologist provides feedback on the testing and other psychological surveys that you did with them. Occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech pathology will be there. They'll talk about growth, continued services, post-secondary education, only if necessary. The CSE chairperson is there to make sure your IEP is being followed, as well as making sure your transition plan follows the law. You might also have community service providers there, and this may vary per student. The providers could be outside counselors, social workers, doctors, anybody that your parents want there or you may want there. And lastly, the CSE secretary. They're just there to keep track of the information and all the documents so everything is in order. Provide information.
After the CSE transition process meeting, the school counselor will continue to work with the CSE transition members on helping you be successful to meet your transition goals. There may be hiccups along the way, or your goals may change, and that's okay. As long as you let your school counselors know, the help you need will always be available. All of the members of your transition team are always willing and able to help you in whatever you need. To wrap up our story on Fitz, he ended up continuing his volunteer hours in the special education classroom throughout the rest of his years in high school. He went on to get his teaching assistant certification through the online program. While completing his certification, he worked part-time as a cashier, so he was able to set up a budget and pay his parents' rent while he lived at home. After obtaining his certification, he worked with his parents and other supporters to move into his own apartment, land a teacher assistant job at the local elementary school, and build lifelong friendships. All of this is very easily obtainable if you work hard, ask for help, and use the resources that are available to you. Measurable goals are really important in the IEP as well as the transition plan, because it's important for us to know that the student is achieving all of the appropriate knowledge and skills to be successful. 3 measurable goals we had set up for Fitz were: upon the completion of high school, he will enroll in the Teacher Assistant Certification Program online through SUNY. He will be able to report on 3 possible occupations for part-time employment based on the results of a career assessment done with the school counselor. And prior to completing high school, he will complete 100 volunteer hours in an elementary special education classroom to meet graduation requirements and gain experiences in a field of interest. All of these goals are very applicable in the future for Fitz, as well as related to the conversations we've had with Fitz for his transition plan. You will also have measurable goals set for you through your transition plan and IEP that correlate with things that you're interested in and your plans and goals for the future.
This video contains interviews of students with disabilities who are going through their own transition plan. Notice any similarities between you and them?
What are some of your current responsibilities?
Going to school, doing homework, come back, clean up my room, and then start my day all over again.
Like washing dishes, sweeping the floor, making sure laundry gets done. That's it.
I am the dishwasher, and one thing I don't do is the laundry because my mom does that.
Who schedules your medical appointments?
My mother or my grandmother.
My mom does. Yes, she does schedule.
Too easy, a big deal.
I do?
Yeah, it's under the head of the house.
Well, are you going to start doing that soon?
I know how to do it. I don't know
Well, you'll have to practice on that, won't you?
Yeah.
Do you feel ready to take on your responsibility as a young adult?
I kind of do, but then again, I don't.
So you would say that you need some assistance?
Yes.
It could be a while. It could be like 4 or 5 years down the road that I might feel ready to take on responsibility. But as my age I am now, I'm still working on it. So who knows when I'll be ready.
I'm trying. I filled out an application for Bowling Green Technical College, trying to meet with the disability office to get that.
I'll be living with my friend Liz, and we're going to be living in Green Hills. I'll be walking everywhere, and I'm very excited. I'm kind of scared.
Who do you currently speak to about any issues or concerns that you may have?
My mother or my grandmother, and sometimes my aunt.
Honestly, I already got the support that I have. I just think that I don't need more supporters to help me. But the problem is, I just can't. That I need reminders most of the time. When I'm at home, at school, mostly anywhere I can think of. I just need reminders most of the time.
Oh God, what do I want to do when I grow up? Well, I have so many different options.
I want to be a photojournalist because I don't know. Sometimes I think that being a photojournalist is pretty useful, and trying to get the scoop on some stuff, taking pictures and writing stuff down.
I want to be a police.
When I was 6 years old, I said I wanted to be a brain doctor, but now it's just mainly medical field because now there's so much more I want to learn and so much more I'm starting to think about and maybe possibly someday create.
As an autism, you just gotta keep hanging on and don't ever give up and trust your instincts, and that way you can live your dreams in the future.
Even though this is a video of an elementary teacher, we thought it would be beneficial for you to see just how much your transition team wants you to succeed. The special education teacher explains the transition process for her students. Notice how enthusiastic and willing to help she is during all steps of the process. Your teachers, family, and transition team members all feel the same way. They are willing and able to help you succeed and accomplish all of your goals. You're going.
Hi, my name is Christy Kinney. I'm the emotional support teacher at School Street Elementary School. When discussing the transition process, we transition students from second grade into our third grade because our elementary school is split. And then also I transition my fifth graders to the middle school to sixth grade. Some pros of our program transition process are that our students are able to become acclimated to our school and also to the middle school. During the transition process, our students are able to have multiple visits versus the regular ed students who are only able to have one visit. Some cons that I've noticed in the experience of transition are the anxiety that our students kind of get from going on these visits, and also getting all of the members of the transition meeting to attend the meeting. Our local area is very poverty-driven, and getting the parents to attend these meetings is difficult. Some advice to students that I have for transitioning is always ask your teachers, ask for help. The guidance counselors, the principals, all the staff at the schools are very helpful, and they're willing to help the students. I also tell my students that we want to see them succeed.
Here is a quick summary of what you've just learned. You are responsible for knowing what you are interested in, attending your transition planning CSE meeting or meetings, completing forms and documentation, and being an active participant in this process. There are a lot of people involved in this process. Thankfully, they're all here to help you succeed. There are ethical and legal issues that are important to know, like the laws that govern the transition process. And lastly, your parents and school staff just want to help you achieve your goals.
My name is Danny Close. I am the learning support / autistic support teacher at GGB. Currently, the transition planning just started at the beginning of February. We had our first meeting, and it was the members of the team were the special education teacher at the new school that would be coming up, and the current special education teacher, which is me. We had our principals from both schools present, and the guidance counselor would have been present, but she was unavailable at the time. At this meeting, the special education teachers were responsible for bringing with them the IEP and the child's folder. When we went through the meeting, we went through strengths, we went through needs, and we went through behavioral interventions that we are currently using if there are behaviors. And we just went through side notes of interest, anything that we do that motivates the child. We also went over parent involvement, the way we communicate with parents, and just the relationship that we currently have with the parents. The meetings always are positive. We always feel that the School Street, which is upcoming school, does a very nice job at getting ready. Next, what will happen is parents are going to receive a letter. The letter will state that that we had a meeting and that we went over the child's likes, interests, and interventions. It will then say that the guidance counselor at the School Street will be taking them on a tour and will be having lunch with them. This is to get them accustomed with the new building, and this will actually be happening in March. So in March, this will be the next part of the plan is they'll get to see their next year's classroom, and they'll get to have lunch with the guidance counselor and meet teachers there.
At this point then, school already has transition plans that they have in place. So in late April, May, the school has 3 different transitions where the kids will go over and they get to see the school, they get to have lunch there, they get to sit in on a class. But then at the end of May, or middle of May, the parents will then come back in and we will have a meeting to discuss how the children did during their transitions with the guidance counselor having lunch, how did they do when they went over the general ed transition. And then from that point, July will come and the ESY program, they will be getting to meet their new learning support / autistic support teacher. There's also transition camp, and some of the students, based on their needs, will be offered a transition camp, which is with general ed and special ed will be in those classes so that the kids have more time. But that is currently what we are doing this year for the transition planning. Also, for the children that have autistic support or communication needs, observations will be occurring. Currently, myself and Maria, who is the School Street teacher, we already collaborate on a daily basis, and she'll be reviewing signs with me and observing in my classroom. And that will be occurring from now until the end of the year. And that is the transition plan.
Great, hands down. My name is Becca Hilsinger. I'm the assistant principal at School Street Elementary. Our building is grades 3 to 5, and we have another primary building in our school district, grades pre-K to 2. So when our second graders are ready to move to third grade, we have transition meetings with our special education teachers from second grade. They meet with our third grade special education teachers. We discuss the students, we discuss their IEP goals, their strengths, weaknesses, things that work for those students, things that they have tried and haven't worked. We discuss transitioning the students with tours of the building, additional tours that they might need in addition to the tours they'll take with their regular classes. There's also an ESY program, transition camp for third grade that's discussed. And we will meet again. We met with the teachers. We'll meet again with the teachers and the parents and provide those students with as many opportunities to come to the new building as they need.
Here are some additional resources for you. Feel free to visit these websites to get more information on the transition process. I really hope this helps. Ethics. When working with a child with a disability, there are many ethical and legal issues that arise, and it is crucial that your school counselor know all of the regulations and laws that protect students with a disability. You need to know the IDEA laws, which your school counselor can help you understand what your IEP says and understand your rights that are underneath the IDEA. Also, confidentiality is important. When working in a school counselor needs to be aware of who has permissions to your file and information. It is important that the counselor know this information before discussing a child and their disability and their behaviors or even their grades with another school personnel. It is common for a school counselor to share information with a staff member about a child with a disability when explaining a reason for a particular behavior. Therefore, the student's right to confidentiality has been breached. When it also comes to confidentiality, we're not going to share your plans or your goals with anybody else unless you want us to. If you want teachers to know what you want to do once you finish high school, then we can tell them, or you can tell them yourself. Either way, a school counselor won't break your confidentiality when doing your transition plan.